This weekend's fun will be replacing the stock air intake and pipe with the Elevate upgrade for the Volvo C70. While I'm at it, gonna be working on the engine mounts, replacing the torque mount and adding some poly inserts for the other mounts, and seeing how everything's going to be open. I'm taking advantage of that to replace the radiator hoses with the IPD kit. So let's take a look at what came in the mail. Here's everything after it's been unboxed. So we've got the radiator hose kit from IPD. It's for the C70. Should be the same for P1 Volvos. Mine is M66 6-speed. Also, we got elevates, air intake, and pipe. Also, I forgot to mention a turbo control valve that I'll be installing a mount for that and relocating where the previous location. And then from PowerFlex, the inserts for the transmission mount and the passenger side engine mount, and IPD's torque mount with shims. Don't know how many I'll install, maybe halfway stiffness, so 2 or 3 shims. Try and think through the sequence of work. Inclined to go with the driver's side transmission mount, then the torque mount, then the engine mount on the passenger side, and then the radiator hoses, and then wrap it up with the installation of the Elevate intake upgrade. So that means that airbox is going to come out, the battery and the battery plate underneath will need to come out, and need to pull the coolant reservoir out of place to expose the engine mount here underneath near the timing belt, but also because obviously I'm replacing the hoses. So basically kind of open all this up. With the battery case off, you now can see the plate that holds the case. So over on this side you have 2 18mm bolts, another 2 on this side, and then you have these two 10mm bolts on this side. So I'm going to remove those, extract the plate, and then before anything else, lift the weight off, lift the motor to remove the weight from the mount. With the battery case plate removed, you have the engine mount exposed, and you have one single, I believe that's a 17 or 18mm, but before I start anything with that, I need to jack up the engine. Lift it up maybe about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch. I'm not sure how much I'll need, and I'll find out. So I was wrong about the 17 or 18mm. This is a 15mm. It's starting to come. Okay, let's see what we got here. Was able to get it going, and there you have it. 15mm bolt. Set that down right there, and this should come right out. And it does. Let's take a look at it. And there you have it. An insert that does not fit the bushing. The PFF 19-1226 that PowerFlex says on their website fits the Mark II or P1 Volvo C70 does not. The engine mount probably needs to be replaced anyway. You can see cracks in the rubber, so I have to place that on order and do it all again. Transmission mount reinstalled. So just put in the torque mount by IPD, and pretty straightforward actually. You are basically loosening up 13 millimeter, and then 13 millimeter, and then the original or OEM torque mount has a 15 millimeter cross bolt connecting, and you just pivot this out of the way and pull out your old torque mount, replace the IPD, which is secured by this 15 millimeter, and then you put it all back together. Pretty straightforward. Here's the original torque mount OEM. It at first glance doesn't seem to be in too bad shape, but a little well, closer scrutiny, you can see the beginnings of cracking in the rubber. So the radiator reservoir pulls straight up. Now those tabs. And then pull those hoses out of the clip, and we'll just kind of set that out of the way. So now we have access to these bolts here. Okay, and we got a 15 millimeter here and a 15 millimeter here. All right, those two 15 millimeter bolts are out, so that bracket just lifts right out. And there you have it. Okay, and now we have two other bolts, but we lifting the engine a little bit, take off or give a little relief to this mount, and see if we can get those two bolts there. So my name ideas were taken. Michael has a video that's probably a lot better than this one on how to do this. Recommend you go see it. He says that 15 millimeters for the bracket and 17 millimeters for the motor mounts, but for my C70 it was 15 millimeters for both brackets, the front bolt, engine bolt, and then a 17 millimeter back here. Putting it back together is the same thing, going in steps in reverse, but in my case I had to set the bracket bolts before the bracket was installed to get the engine mount, the forward engine mount bolt to line up the hole in the engine. And there you have it, right side engine mount with PowerFlex inserts. And before I forget, going off of the maintenance instructions in Vita, the engine mounts right there, 133 Newton meters, and then the bracket bolts are 90 Newton meters. I like it.